Last week, AEW put on the worst go-home show. MJF was out there in an alley right behind. He was in the hood. Right behind the production trucks. The show is bad. It's bad. There's no one that can come in and help this show. There's no one that can come in and just change things around. A report came out that this past Sunday, a lot of people got hurt on Revolution. A lot of people are injured. You seen Will Ospreay limp out there. You seen Kenny Omega come out there like he just came from a Comic-Con. Just terrible. I don't understand. But you have over like 200 and some people that you have signed to this company. Meanwhile, you put on a show like this, and this show was just terrible. Kenny Omega, he came out there and he cut a promo. He's in there dressed like he's going to Walmart, and he came out there and he thanked a lot of people. He thanked this person, that person. He thanked Takeshita for pushing him to his limits or whatever. And then he came out there and said something about a tournament at Dynasty. I'm so tired of these fucking tournaments. How many tournaments they gonna have in a year? They have a lot of them. They have a lot of tournaments. And this is another tournament to see who is going to be crowned the number one contender to go up against Kenny Omega at Dynasty on April 6th. Then after he finishes that, trio of Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Hook came out there. They look like a team that's generated through like WWE 2K. It's like the computer just put three people together and now they're a trio. They look so odd. They should be called the oddballs instead of the ops. Talking about something you never catch us lacking. They kicked off the show going up against because they don't have anybody there for them to wrestle because everybody got hurt. They won. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Then you had Hologram and then Powerhouse Hobbs versus Jalistico and Brian Cage with the Beast Mortos. The Beast Mortos, he was everywhere on this show. He was the MVP of this show because he was fucking everywhere. Powerhouse Hobbs. It's a damn shame. Team just thrown together for no reason at all. Like, what's the purpose of these people being in a tag team match? There's no reason behind any of this. It just happens. Toni Storm came out there to cut a promo. She says, with stitches in her lip and staples in her head and glass in her ass, and she is thick. So that's a lot of glass back there. She stands before you, steal your champ. A chunk of her heart will be gone forever, but when she looks at this title, it was all worth it. You will never hear her meow as she's no pussy. To the rest of the women, put the keys in the bowl and let's get this orgy started. All right. Then Megan Bain. I would have never expected her to come out here and interact with Toni Storm, given that she hasn't proven herself at all to anybody, anything. She has a great look. I'm surprised that WWE didn't go after her, which begs the question, what's wrong with this woman? Maybe they did some research and they seen something that she did or something like that. I don't know. But she desperately needs to go to NXT. And here she is attacking Toni Storm when she has done nothing to earn a title opportunity for nothing. She's getting rewarded for bad behavior. A few weeks ago, this woman stood in the ring while Thunder Rosa was trying to swing the chair at her, and she just didn't even flinch. She no-sold it, looked at her and laughed. And now here we are with this, that she is finna challenge this woman for this championship. So then Toni is gonna beat her, and then you've just killed her off. It doesn't make sense. She has no reason to be. Well, it's because they don't have anybody lined up for Toni Storm. They don't have anybody. They got to get Japanese girls to go face Mercedes. They don't have anybody for Toni. Tony's just out there just trying to make whatever work. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to, next week, you're going to have Megan come out there and beat jobber women. Throw in there with Deonna Purrazzo. She's not doing anything. Throw in there with Taya Valkyrie. She's not doing anything. You got a bunch of people on this roster who's not really doing anything. So who is she going to go up against? It doesn't make any sense. Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense to you that this woman is out there and you have this challenger who hasn't done anything to get a title opportunity, yet she is finna get a title opportunity, but she's gonna lose? So there you go. This show sucks. It's no thought process goes behind anything. This man doesn't have production meetings. He's just case by case basis. That's what he said. Case by case basis. And that's exactly what's going on here. Then you had the what the fuck moment of the night. You have the Dynasty International Championship Eliminator Tournament, another fucking tournament, and in the ring is the Beast Muertos. And guess who should come out here? I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but he's somebody from New Japan. Speedball. Mike Bailey went in there. He does his choreographed flippy shit. They do it all. You see it every fucking week, so it's nothing new. So you just sitting there like, and you're just looking at it. I can't believe this. So Mike Bailey won. Beast Muertos, you knew he was gonna lose, but he's on these shows like they're trying to push him, but they just keep beating him. So that's what he's there for, just to get beat. Then you had Christian with his little family that's in the back. He's talking about that failed cash-in that was just so stupid. It was so stupid. It was so ridiculous. He said that he didn't tap out. He passed out. And that warrants him to get the binder back because he never quit. But, bro, that's the same as a tap out. So what are you talking about? So Nick was like, maybe if you kept your eyes on the ball or some shit like that, maybe you'd be the champion. So Christian bows up in his face and is like, who the fuck you think you talking to? His mama in the back, she ain't gonna do nothing. Christian was basically like, who the fuck you think you talking to, cuz? Are you a world champion? Have you ever been a world champion? No? Then shut the fuck up when grown folks is talking. Then in the ring, we get in the ring, and we have MJF. MJF is in the ring. He says that Hangman Page's win at Revolution was a fluke, just like when they fought the last time and back at 19, whatever the case may be, when they faced each other. And he was, saying, I don't know. I tuned out. I'm not interested in MJF anymore. I'm not interested in him anymore. He doesn't have the same je ne sais quoi because he's been toned down. He's not effective. His promos, he always screams at the top of his lungs, just screams out. But then MVP comes out. Says that he known him since he was 18 because he used to drive him around during the independence. And he said that MJF used to pick his brain about wrestling and, what it takes to make it, things like that. And he said that he was so proud of him and all what he has done, but he's not proud of what happened on Sunday. Basically, he said, cuz why you ain't hurting people? The fuck are you doing? You ain't hurting people. You losing. Nobody fears you, but you want to know who they fear? They fear the Hurt Syndicate. How can they fear somebody who's never there? How can they fear a tag team who's never there? They're never there. You mean to tell me that they couldn't come out here and stand side by side with MVP? MJF was like, I don't need help. I don't need any advice anymore. He was the longest AEW world champion. And then MVP tells him to focus on the word was, then handed him the card. Is he going to join MVP in the Hurt Syndicate? He does not look good in that. Sorry. And, MJF says that he's not done with Hangman and whatever the case may be, but I'm done seeing that because it's stupid. Because if you had Hangman in the back coming out there to coming up to MJF to press him because of the shit that he just said out here, then why didn't he come out there while he was talking shit about him? No direction at all. This place is just, my gosh. Then you had Max Caster, the worst wrestler alive. He comes out there, he gives these open challenges saying that he's the best wrestler alive, and then somebody comes out there and beat him. Where is that going? I'm tired of seeing this. I don't want to see him. So Takeshita came out there, and he beats him. That doesn't do anything for Takeshita. He's back to just being another guy that they can just interchange out amongst all these other guys. But they have a lot of guys on the roster, but he's not using hardly any of them. He just uses the same people over and over again. I don't know. Then you had Willow Nightingale versus Penelope Ford. Where is Marina? I don't know what happened to her, but for the last few weeks before the pay-per-view, she was getting her ass beat up by Marina in the back. So why is she fighting Penelope Ford here? What's that? I don't know. Willow won, and then after the match, Penelope hits her with the slowest chair shot you've ever seen anybody hit somebody with. And then Chris Statlander comes out there. But then Megan came out there and just beat up everybody. So is this your way of trying to build this woman up to get a title match against Toni Storm? Makes no sense. None whatsoever. If that was the case, then you should have had, you know what would have been better? If you would have had Megan and Willow wrestle that night. And then Megan gets a big win over Willow. Then I can see her trying to build up wins to get somewhere. But this does nothing for nobody at all. Nothing for nobody. It's just there. Then you had Will Ospreay. I tell you, bruv, I'm going to go on and win the Owen Hart tournament. And then I'm going to be the AEW world champion, bruv. But before he said that his wife called him. My wife called me just a few days before the pay-per-view, bruv, and she said, babe, don't do anything stupid or crazy, babe. I told her, babe, I'll be home Friday. I'll cook you some dinner, and then I'll rub one out for you, mate. This guy's a cornball. I thought Ricochet was a cornball. But this guy is a cornball. Who the fuck, man, like... If he gets the championship, if he beats Moxley or whoever for the championship at All In, that'll be a breath of fresh air because they need someone to come in here and do something with these people up in here. But everybody is beat. They banged up because they do all this indie shit that gets themselves hurt and it suffers on TV. You could have written a better show if you had production meetings, if you had writers, if you had someone who can orchestrate a show from top to bottom. But there's no one in that company that can do that because Tony is not going to allow anybody to book that shit but him because he wants to get all the praise and accolades of being a booker. These folks at Wrestling Observer, they are all on this man. And they gave this man Booker of the Year a couple of years ago. They're not going to tell him that this shit sucks. This shit's bad. It's horrible. This show is horrible. Something needs to happen and something needs to change. But we are witnessing like it going into the iceberg, slowly crashing. A lot of things on this show could have been turned around, but it just didn't. And I don't understand. How can you defend this? Wrestling Observer, I mentioned them yet again. They came and they, usually they'll shit on WWE. If WWE do something that they don't like, they are quick to shit on it. But they're not going to say how bad this show is this week. They was just like, it's an interesting show. They didn't have everybody. Here's the excuse. Here's the excuse for why this show was bad that they try to give. Well, we didn't have anyone because everybody was banged up. You got a whole lot of other fucking people on this roster that you could have put on this show to make it something. You could have had Wardlow come back on this show. You could have had numerous of people come in here. But this is the product that they're on right now. And it's just going to suffer. So the main event of this terrible show was Orange Cassidy versus Hechachiro. And it is exactly as you can imagine it. A lot of tilt-a-whirls, a lot of tompe tuasio, suicide dives, whatever the case. If you like that shit, you like it. But I see it so much, I'm just like, bro, it's just, you're running into the ground. Long story short, Orange Cassidy won, and then this motherfucker came out here on the stage, fucking speedball, and gave his salute. Like, yeah, I'll face you soon. And then the show went off the air. Worst Dynamite, worst follow-up. I've been watching this AEW Dynamite kind of consistently throughout the start of this year just so I can review it. And it amazes me how much this show is just on air and how people can just like look at it and be like, you know what? This show is great. They can't even do promos right because they just go out here and they just talk and they just ramble on and on. There's no story progression. There's no, if you tuned in to see this show, then you're met with just unbelievable, just everything because the show is just so bad. This show came in and pulled in. I got the ratings for this show. This show came in and pulled in 628,000 viewers. It was up from last week, which was 600,000. It drew a 0.16 rating in the key 18 to 49 demo, which is up from last week's by 0.13. 0.13. But hey, at least they cracked over 600,000. I doubt it if they do that next week. I doubt it. This show has a lot going on, and if they're not careful, then this shit is gonna just like start to like snowball down the hill, and it's just gonna crash into somebody's house, somebody's farm, whatever the case may be. This show is just not suitable for TV. This was a terrible show. I gotta bring the grades back, and I give it an F. The worst follow-up to a pay-per-view. They had the worst string of shows. Last week's AEW was the worst go-home show. Then Collision was just downright terrible. And then Sunday's Revolution was an abomination. And then this week was a terrible follow-up. This show is not going to make it. It's not going to make it another year. This time next year, this show is probably going to be pulling in probably 5 when it comes to the ratings, because every year they have progressively gone down. So that's exactly what's going to happen here. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. Tony, you got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do, Tony, and I don't know if you can pull it off. I think that they are so far gone now that it's impossible for them to turn this sinking ship around, turn whatever that they got going on around. I think it's too far gone now. It doesn't matter who you bring in. It doesn't matter who you have on TV. You know, their people are banged up. They're fucked up because they keep doing stupid shit. And it shows, because when you don't have your key people, which is crazy to think about. If you don't have your key people, you're fucked. Because you haven't been building anybody. You just been focusing on key people like Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, people like that. But who wants to see the Beast Mortos? Who wants to see Hologram? Who wants to see Powerhouse Hobbs? This show was full of losers that been losing, and I don't know. But this show needs to do a lot to get everything turned around. And I doubt it that it's going to happen anytime soon. So that was your review for Dynamite. A terrible show. Yeah, something has to change here.